From the socks on your feet to the drink in your hand, pollinators affect everything around you. Pollinators constantly influence your daily routines even if you didn't realize it. And while they do a great deal for us, we tend to neglect them. How many of you have seen a little flower on the sidewalk, or in a planter, or in a field ready to bloom? Or maybe a field of crops while you're driving down the road that's being harvested? This is all due to pollinators. Pollinators are necessary to our lifestyles, our ecosystems, and economy, and they need to be protected. We depend on pollinators more than we realize and understand. First, let's discuss what a pollinator is. According to the National Park Service, anything that helps carry pollen from the male part of the flower to the female part of the same flower or another flower is considered a pollinator. And some of these pollinators move pollen on purpose, while others do it on accident. Some pollinators include insects such as honeybees, butterflies, and other insects, while other pollinators are birds and bats, which some people don't realize. And by moving this pollen, plants are able to seed, grow fruit, and continue to thrive. And this also allows us to sustain ourselves. Pollinators give us the ability to harvest plants. And plants are a big part of our daily intake of food. And plants are not only eaten by us, but they're also eaten by the meat we eat. So, pollinators are extremely important to our food cycle. And a paper published by Royal Society Publishing states that 87 of leading global food crops are dependent upon pollination. 1 out of every 3 bites of food you eat is due to pollinators. Air is another critical aspect of your life and mine. The National Park Service states that 75% of all flowering plants need pollination, and these plants provide us with clean air. They filter out bad things, they take in carbon dioxide, and they give us fresh oxygen to use. And a lack of pollinators can cause issues like decreasing air quality, less crops for us to harvest, and maybe even a drop in the economy. Let's discuss the economy. Pollinators contribute an estimated $20 to $30 billion to the agricultural economy per year, and $15 billion of that is contributed by honeybees. Honeybees are the most economically valuable pollinator we have, and without them, crops decrease by more than 90%. Other pollinators, such as birds and bats, are extremely beneficial to our crops because they eat pests that will eat the crops, and they also pollinate simultaneously. But they are greatly affected by human impacts. And while pollinators do a great deal for us, their numbers are declining. This decline is due to many factors, such as pesticides. Pesticides do not just kill the pests on the plant. According to a study of pollinators and the effects of pesticides on them, these hazardous chemicals can lower the immune system and make them more susceptible to parasitic infections. They also deal with habitat loss when we decrease the size of forests by cutting them down, when we mine, and other human activities such as developing land that once had native plants on it. When we decrease habitat, we also fragment habitat. And fragmenting habitat means splitting it up into parcels that may not be as valuable as when they were together. These parcels of lands may have once contained native plants that are extremely beneficial to pollinators and allow them to migrate farther to pollinate more plants. While this does sound depressing, and maybe even a little hopeless when you look at the facts, you are able to help pollinators. You can plant native plants in your home, in your yard, at your work, or in other local areas like parks. And you can support products that support pollinators. Maybe that means using less hazardous chemicals or using more sustainable work ethic. You can also support organizations that support pollinators, or even plant native plants or raise pollinators from egg or baby to adult. Because pollinators are extremely important to our lives, we need to do our part to protect them, even if it's the tiniest act that could help pollinators. We have determined what pollinators are, how they affect us in our everyday life, and the economy around us. We've also learned how we can help. I challenge you to make a small change in your life for the sake of pollinators. Think about your daily actions. Think about when you go to the store. What do you buy? Are you buying products that could help pollinators or hurt pollinators? Do they include hazardous chemicals or plants that have caused the deforestation of extremely important areas? What plants are in your yard? How much water are you using to water them? Are they helping your native pollinators get around and pollinate other plants that are beneficial to you? You can impact your own food system. You can impact your own air system. And you can save pollinators. How can you do better?